Yo, what it do? What it do? It's your boy, Captain Boring. He is back with NotCFBIII. Mr. Can't Climb Stairs. Boy, do we got a jam-packed show for you today. Welcome, everybody. It is 4th and 1 podcast brought to you by no one, you, the viewers. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Don't forget to like and, more importantly, subscribe. We have been shooting up the subscriber level. Thank you to all 65 subscribers. Thank you for all you commenters out there, everyone who does comment. We appreciate you all. Even if you just view and you don't subscribe and you don't share, but you still view it on a weekly, daily, monthly, whatever it be, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. As I said, I am Captain Boring. I am normally the co-host, aka my brother could not make it last minute, so I just jump in here. We added Robert, NotCFBIII, about 3 years ago, 2 years ago now?
Full-time? Full-time, I think, 2.
All right, 2 years ago. Before that, he was part-time. So, like I said, jam-packed show. Yeah, go ahead.
A little breaking news for you.
Okay.
All right.
Wait. Let's see if I have one. I don't have one. All right, go for it.
Okay. Former Utah quarterback Cam Rising announced Wednesday he is retiring from football.
Oh, hallelujah, Jesus. Let's give a round of applause. Round of applause. Wait, I got one for that.
To put this into perspective,
he
began his college career in 2018.
Same recruiting class as Trevor Lawrence, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
At Texas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good career at Utah. Not really anything at Texas. Well, good for Utah, right?
Well, I would say his first 2 years were good. Once the injuries started happening, that's when it just went
right. He back-to-back Rose Bowls. I think he got hurt in both Rose Bowls, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so, because they should have beaten
Ohio State and Penn State.
Yeah, and then he got hurt.
Yeah. So good college career. Let's just leave it at that. So he is retiring. Let's start it off the jump, Rob. Shaq to GM Sacramento State. And it's funny because I'm on the ESPN NCAA page, and right now it's the GM is the new gold rush of college football because college football is becoming like the pros, right? They just want, the coaches are done being the CEOs. They just want people to take care of the NIL and take care of the collectives and contract negotiations and all of that, and just kind of be in charge of recruiting and all of that. So Stanford hired Andrew Luck. That's the big headliner. UNC hired Joe Lunardi. Bill Belichick, Joe Lunardi there. I know that Woj, former ESPN reporter, went and is the GM of Bonaventure men's basketball. So Shaq going to Sacramento State.
I'm surprised at Sacramento State. I would have figured that he would have tried to go back to LSU or something like that. But, I mean, it's a smart move if you are a athlete who played professionally for any amount of time and understand the game, because it kind of, if you put the right person in the right spot, I mean, you're going to turn some heads around. And I actually think Sacramento State I think they got a recruit, like a pretty higher up recruit, because of Shaq being the
I feel like Shaq is actually secretly really, really smart. I guess you got to be with all the. He's in Icy Hot. He's in Papa John's. He's in. I just feel like he doesn't get enough credit for kind of how intelligent and business savvy specifically he is.
Well, if you're an athlete, the biggest thing is always, the dumb jock, right?
Right.
So when athletes go and they do things like these, or they get involved in different aspects of business, everyone's always surprised. And it's like, well, these guys did go to college, whether they actually studied in college or not, but then they also went to a professional league and they all have brands. Shaq had a shoe deal that wasn't even Nike, or like they were like the Dunkman shoes or whatever.
Yeah, they were Walmart. Like he specifically wanted to sell cheap shoes or cheaper shoes, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had a pair.
I think I had a pair, 100%. I had a pair. Got them at Kmart when Kmart still existed.
Yeah.
Does Shaq have his master's? I feel like Shaq has two, because he requires his kids to have two degrees. He requires, fun fact for everyone here, Shaq in order to get any of their inheritance, they must have 2 degrees.
Yeah, business administration.
He has a master's in business. Yeah, so that's what we're saying. In terms of the GM, I did not know Ron Rivera went to Cal. He's Cal's GM. Did you know that?
I did not, and that's kind of another weird one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is he from? For whatever reason, I just always think like Andrew Luck going to Stanford. Total sense.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense.
100%. He played there. That was his life there. You know, if you would tell me that Desmond Howard would be Michigan's, I'd be like, makes sense. Charles
makes sense. Exactly. Yeah.
You know, like all
Tom
that
Brady.
makes sense.
I know Tom Brady wouldn't, but Tom Brady, right? Yeah.
It would just make sense. So it's like whenever Shaq at Sacramento State, you're kind of like, okay.
Right.
It's a good thing for the school and it's a good thing for Shaq, but like it just kind of like doesn't make sense on the face, but.
And maybe it's a stepping stone, and then maybe if Shaq proves himself that he's good at it, maybe then LSU will be hey,
that
Shaq.
Could be too,
right? Like, so going forward, college front office will shoulder more responsibility than ever before. They are overseeing 105-man rosters, which that's probably changing with the House settlement. They weren't doing scholarship size, everyone, with this House settlement. They were doing roster sizes down from the averages 128 to 105. However, a judge didn't finalize the settlement yet because she doesn't want the 23-ish kids per school to be left out in the cold. So they got to figure out that. Scouring the transfer portal, negotiating with agents, and persuading recruits to join their program. I do think that it's interesting that Andrew Luck is like normally in a college program, it's head coach, right? Like Sharon, and let's take Ohio State, for example, because I don't know how Michigan's working. It all starts with Ryan Day, right? Ryan Day, end all be all. We're getting this recruit. We're doing this, orders to the GM, then GM goes out. At Stanford, it's Andrew Luck. Now, they only have a short-term coach, so this could be part of the reason why. But how Stanford is doing it moving forward, Andrew Luck, and then the coach. Andrew Luck tells everything to do. It is more the NFL approach. It is the Howie Roseman's kind of approach to football, where the GM is kind of more running the team.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like that's going to work a little better. And I feel like that's where a lot of, especially like if Saban had a GM, do you think Saban would be staying a year or two longer? Because like his big thing was, trying to deal with the NIL, dealing with the kids, and it's a whole thing. So if you get someone to take, some of that essentially recruiting and NIL aspect away from the coaches, obviously the coaches would still probably have some sort of say into what kind of is going on, but ultimately the GM would take care of it. Maybe that'll help, especially some of these younger coaches trying to figure out these programs.
It's good. It's going to vary, right? Like as you said, like a program like a Georgia or Ohio State, they probably just want someone to handle the NIL deals and handle the transfer portal and kind of like scouting and all of that. But then you'll have places like Stanford or other programs, and they don't come to mind, with less proven head coaches that need the GM to be more involved in day-to-day operations. And that's where I think it'll get interesting, right? So it'll just kind of like, I don't know. I think I don't know who Michigan's GM is, but I can't imagine that Michigan's GM is involved in day-to-day with Sharon Moore, just because Sharon has been there for now 9 years with the program, I mean, I could be wrong, and maybe they are, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's a very fascinating thing. So we'll kind of update you on Shaq as we go. Probably next thing you know is that Shaq has either switched schools or Shaq has been fired, because we'll kind of lose all...
or it's an instant success.
Or it's an instant success, and they're winning national titles. So either way, we will keep you up to date on Shaq. All righty, let's get to the bread and butter of this, Rob. And we all are going to have some strong opinions on this, and that's Sharon Moore. Sharon Moore has been suspended by the University of Michigan as part of self-imposed sanctions, penalties that Michigan. So basically this all stems back from Connor Stallions. No, that thing is not done yet. Michigan has suspended Sharon Moore for games 3 and 4. Part of the reason why is because Michigan's going to Oklahoma. Sharon Moore played offensive line and won a national title at Oklahoma, so it's kind of a homecoming to him. So Michigan probably wants to give it that. And more importantly, Robbie, you hit this nail on the head when we talked. Sharon's not allowed to be at practice. So they didn't want Sharon to not be at practice the week leading up to week 1 and week 2. They want kind of the rhythm of the team to be set and be going heading into Central Michigan and then Nebraska, at Nebraska. You know what, Rob? Why don't you just give me your thoughts on the self-imposed penalties?
I think self-imposed penalties are the dumbest thing.
We agree on this.
Because first off, you're saying, okay, whether you were right or wrong, you're saying we'll do this penalty. And the NCAA could say, nah, that's not good enough. So even though you're doing it, the NCAA could say, no, that's not good enough, so we're going to hit you anyways. So why punish yourself if the NCAA might not even agree to it, and they're just going to do it, and they'll do it to you?
I was explaining this whole thing to Carrie and why it was so ridiculous, because she doesn't realize the ridiculous. Well, she didn't realize the ridiculous now. And I said exactly that. I said, so Michigan's going to punish Sharon, right, in order to hope to get a lesser punishment. But the NCAA hasn't told them whether that punishment will work. And this is one of just the moronic things that the NCAA does. And at this point, if I'm being completely honest, Michigan, just let them come down with the verdict. And if it's more than these 2 games or whatever, right, or have a number in mind, don't just suspend Sharon, have a number in mind. And then when they come down with a 6-game ban or some overreacting ban, right, you just take them to court and you file an appeal. Right. And this process just goes on and on and on. And because they are the NCLL, because all they do is lose in court, because they're so run poorly, they'll lose, and then you won't have anything. Now, 2 points to that. 1, Michigan wants this to go away, right? What's she doing?
She's looking out the little window there.
The little window. 2, if the NCAA comes down down with a punishment, and they sue and they win, no one's in charge then, because the NCAA is then just going to do nothing, because again, they're so improperly run. They couldn't figure out how to, they couldn't figure out their head from their ass, as it were, right? Whatever that saying is. So, That's one of the reasons why. But I agree with you. I just do not understand self-imposed sanctions. And why is it that the self-imposing sanctions that every conference but the SEC does is good enough?
I actually just
Isn't
looked
good
at.
enough.
I typed in on Google self-imposed sanctions, and obviously the Michigan ones is because it's the most relevant. But there was one from LSU, and it was with Les Miles,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like they vacated like 37 wins, and the NCAA was like, "Yep, that's good." And I'm like, I just don't get why. So you're gonna go, and the NCAA obviously, you don't want to hurt teams like that's, but like
Right.
does it? Why is it always we're gonna take away wins, we're gonna take away recruits, we're gonna take away bowl games and championships, when the only thing that actually matters is the money? Like, if you go and if you said to Michigan, we're going to take away 12 scholarships, and I said this to you before, it's like scholarships are whatever. They don't, like
Now, yeah.
back then, yeah, that was a big deal. Now, if we tell Bryce Underwood, hey, we'll give you $20 million, we're not going to put you on scholarship, but we'll give you $20 million, and he just says, okay, actually give me 19 so that 1 million covers everything else. We don't even need a scholarship for the kid.
Right.
That's what's so stupid about it. That's why, like, the NCAA should go, okay, we're done with that version of penalizing teams. So and they just break it down between, they have like their level 1s, 2s, and 3s. If you do a level 1, which I think is the worst, right?
No, level 1. This was a level 2 violation that Michigan has committed.
Okay, so let's say, yeah, but which like is level 1 the worst or is level 3 the worst?
Oh, level 3 is the worst.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
so a
Yeah.
level 3, if you do a level 3 issue, $50 million fine, and then make it okay, and then you post that blah 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 whatever, and then you break it up and say, okay, it's a $50 million fine, but break it over 5 years, so you owe $10 million a year. Like,
Right.
hit the teams and the programs where it hurts, which is the money. Teams will not mess around with the money. Like, if you want stuff to change, it's the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
well,
it's a pretty easy thing.
And then the NCAA could double down and really get in good graces and back in favor with the public eye by saying, Michigan, you owe $50 million, example, break it up over $10 million a year. Those $10 million, Michigan, you have to give to, pick a charity. You have to create them into scholarships and give them to kids outside of athletics. You have to do this. You have to do, like make it go to good causes so that the NCAA isn't profiting off of these fines either, because then that creates an issue, obviously, right? And then it's like, hey, the NCAA are holding these schools accountable, and they have to, and they're making their colleges and universities better, their communities. It's a win-win, but it's so poorly run that no one can just get past the fact that Michigan, that one man, Connor Stallions, illegally advanced scouted. And I need everyone to know that that is what Michigan is in trouble for. Stealing signs is not illegal. Advanced scouting with the use of technology is. And so that's what Michigan is in trouble for. I would like to point out that Sharon Moore is being suspended because he deleted 53 text messages before the investigation even started into Michigan, in which they recovered all the text messages during the investigation, and Sharon Moore cooperated fully. But yet still Sharon Moore is being punished, right? So figure that one out. Go ahead, figure that one out. In terms of things that I need everyone and everybody and every living being that breathes air, animals included, to figure out is why the NCAA is giving a bowl ban to a team that in the last 5 years has won a max 4 games and has gone winless twice. It once, definitely, twice. I think they had a 1-win and a 2-win season in there too. So, what happened is the NCAA said, "Hey, Akron Zips." Piggybacking off the last pod, shout out Fighting Kevin Kearns. Your what it is, Rob, and I did confirm, and this is from the professor himself. He says that story indicates that there's a minimum score that teams must meet every year. The first offense is punished by reduction in practice time, in parentheses, maybe so players can have more times to study, question mark, a guy can dream anyway. 2 years in a row, it's a bowl ban. So I guess the team had a low enough score year for 2 consecutive years that it's a bowl ban. We thought originally it was they had players ineligible, low GPA playing, but I guess that the teams must meet a minimum requirement. So how do we feel about this?
Well, I mean, it kind of just keeps going back to the reason you're going to college is for an education. And if you have these kids, like, so where would you say the failure is? Is it a fail? This is not, I'm not throwing shade at your uncle either.
Yeah, that's fine.
Saying, like,
he gets that.
Is it like a failure on the, I mean, obviously it's a failure on the kids because the kids aren't doing their work, but also, like, does it kind of fall onto, like, staff as well in a way that, like, maybe there's some professors who aren't necessarily, like, you know, it's the old, oh, they're football players, we kind of let them slide, do their thing kind of stuff? Or is it, do they need a GM to be hounding these kids? Like, or is it just something like, is it something small or is it something really big that's essentially going on? And is this just kind of like a small domino when it comes to other colleges?
Right. And we are not saying that the University of Akron faculty staff is doing anything that they should not be doing by not holding kids accountable. We don't know that but we are saying, especially when it comes to North Carolina, let's just bring them right into the fold. North Carolina got in trouble for just making up classes for kids to go to, the basketball team and football team. So this isn't out of the realm of possibilities. However, I will say that at the University of Akron, it is required if you have athletes in your class to fill out a piece of paper with grades of the athletes and attendance that is reported to the AD. So the AD should have known about this well before anything kind of became of this with the University of Akron. However, in all fairness, the University of Akron, you're not a football school. So what are you doing not going to class?
Right. You're, you know, it would be different if you, like, were just mopping up the MAC every year. I mean, you were like 10, 12 wins a year, maybe number 25 consistently. But, I mean, it's been what? Since 2018, so that's what? 7 years?
This will be the 7th, yeah.
They might have a combined 7 wins?
Yeah.
In those 7 years?
Yeah, it's not good. Yeah. And I don't know how good Akron's going to be this year, but I can't imagine they'll be that good because the MAC is the one conference that gets poached the most often, according to Pete Thamel, for players. This
will be the undefeated season because they can't go to a bowl game. So.
Sure. Everyone will do that.
Yeah.
So just again, the NCAA, they want academics to be a thing, but then with everything, they're not doing anything regarding NIL that is downplaying the academics. So they're
flex. It's a weird flex. We can't get Michigan right now, but damn it, we'll get Akron.
We'll get Akron in that bowl game that they probably won't even qualify for.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, if they wanted to do something, they should go next time you qualify for a bowl game, you can't make it. But that's kind of hard to do. All right, Bob. You know what? This is a new segment. We like to call this. We're gonna hold you to this, by the way. So, just be prepared. This is a new segment, Fun Facts with Bob. We got nothing else to talk about, so we're just going to hear some fun facts and then chat about those. It looks like San Diego State and Bowling Green aren't going to play their game in our
Yeah, I saw
dynasty.
that.
So we'll have to force them and get it going. All right, what you got for me, bud?
All right. So now this is dealing with Power Four, the Power Fours. Okay. There
Okay.
is only one Power Four school who has a winning record against AP number one opponents. Only one.
There's one school in the Power Four that has a winning record against AP number ones.
Yep.
LSU.
No. LSU is actually really bad against number one. They're 2-16-1.
How many? Can you tell me how many wins this team has?
11.
What's their overall record? Give me their overall record.
11-6.
Holy moly! So they're not just good; they're excellent. Okay, I'm gonna. Obvious answer is Alabama.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Now, this team that's number 2,
Okay.
they're 9-10, and when I tell you this team, it's going to blow your mind.
Yeah, okay, let's just take into account real quick Alabama being 11-6, and the next team. Yes, they only have 2 less wins. They have 4 more losses.
Yeah.
Okay. Ohio State's really bad against number 1 teams.
6-11.
Okay, so they're almost the exact opposite of Alabama. They are the exact opposite things. Okay. I don't know. Notre Dame.
No, Notre Dame's actually 3rd at 9-17-1.
Okay. All right. Very interesting.
Right kind of conference.
Like the ACC?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Jeff Brom hasn't been at Louisville long enough to pull off any of those upsets.
No, Louisville's 0-4.
Okay. Boston College.
I mean, it's no, but Boston College is
they're not
1-5.
1-5. Okay.
Yes.
Clemson.
Nope. Clemson's 2-7.
Wow.
Yep.
Florida State.
Florida State is 1-7.
So this team has played. Wait, the number 2 team has played 19 number 1 teams and won 9 of them, and is almost 500.
Yep.
That's, first of all, that's very impressive. So who's a team that plays? North Carolina State.
North Carolina State is 0-4.
All right. At this point, I'm just boring the viewers. Who you got?
Miami.
Oh my gosh! Of course, I should have guessed Miami.
That's
okay.
what I was like. You just think about it. And you're
No,
like, huh.
yeah. All right.
Now, Michigan is 3-18-1. So bad.
And wait, is this in the last is this all time, or is this in the last how long? Does it say?
No, it doesn't say. I can't imagine. I don't know if it's all time, but I would at least imagine that probably 10 of those 18 losses is to Ohio State.
I would have to imagine that Michigan, yeah, because really they haven't played a number 1 team. They played Georgia. No, they didn't even play Georgia. When was the last time they lost to a number one team? I
would imagine it had to have been Ohio State. One of the years that Ohio State was 2015 or
in 05 or 06 maybe.
Yeah, regardless, I'm pretty sure it was Ohio State. Now,
you're probably right.
Can you guess
we can ask ChatGPT.
Team that has the worst record against number 1s
in the Power 4?
Yes.
Purdue.
No, Purdue actually. They're in here somewhere. Purdue, shockingly enough, 7-11. So it's got to be all time.
It's got to be all time. Okay, so Power 4. So I would have to guess these are 0 wins.
Correct.
I mean, it's got to be like a bottom of the barrel Big 12 team, or like a bot like Vanderbilt. It's got to be like Vanderbilt.
I like your start with Big 12.
Okay,
However,
all right.
It's not in the Big 12.
So they used to be in the Big 12.
Correct.
Oh my goodness. Oklahoma.
No.
And it's not Texas.
Correct.
Because Texas has
not
one.
Texas.
Texas has one win. At least one. And they have more than that. Okay.
Texas is 5-12.
I don't even know. Used to be in the Big 12. Who has moved out of the Big 12 recently? Oh, brother. I don't know.
They would have left around the same time A&M did.
Oh, Nebraska?
No.
Oh, well, they did leave around the same time.
Yeah, they did.
Missouri.
Yep. Missouri.
They've never beat
0-18.
I would have thought they would have gotten one. The most recent loss by Michigan Wolverine football team to an Associated Press AP number 1 ranked team occurred on November 22nd, 1975. In that game, number 4 Michigan at that time faced number 1 Ohio State. This isn't most updated at Michigan Stadium and lost 21-14. Since that matchup, Michigan has not lost to an AP number 1. Well, what about the 06? Okay, I'm going to ask ChatGPT. When was that 06 that they lost? What about the...
I mean, take a pick. It's from like 06 all the way. Like
about the 2006 Ohio... Because that was 1v2. Yeah. 06 was the last time.
Okay.
Yeah. To Ohio State. So you were right. All right. What else you got, sir?
All right. So since 2014, 2, 4, 6, 8, there are 10 teams that have not had a losing season in the CFP era.
Since 2014. Okay.
Okay. So obviously the layups are Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia.
Okay.
There is one Big Ten team. I'm not going to make you do all of them because it would take forever.
Okay.
But one Big Ten team, one MAC team, and one American team.
Okay. I'm going to say the Big Ten teams No, not because they probably count 2020, right?
I would assume.
Okay. This will tell me. Is it Penn State?
No.
Okay. Then they are
That's
counting.
Why I was like, I would assume that's the winner count.
Yeah. Okay. So not a losing season. Okay. So Michigan has in 2020. Penn State has in 2020. Maryland definitely has. Rutgers definitely has. Purdue, absolutely. Illinois, yes. Indiana, all the time. Northwestern, all they do is lose. Wisconsin?
Nope.
Okay. Oh, well, maybe they finished 5-7. That kind of surprised me. Nebraska, yeah, obviously. Is this current Big Ten?
Yep.
Okay. USC has, UCLA has, Oregon.
No.
When was their losing season, I wonder? Maybe they went 5-7 one year. Washington.
No.
Washington, okay.
It's a team that all the time at the end of the year we're like, how are they 11-3, 10-4?
It's not Minnesota. Oh, Iowa.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you were right there.
Yeah. I was right there. Yeah. All right. Give me another conference. I'm sorry.
I'm saying American. Just want to double check to make sure.
He gives me the American Conference. I guess every team in the American. None of them hit. That would be us, though.
Yes, it would. Just give me the standings. Yes.
In the current American.
Yes.
All right, so Tulane just had a recent turnaround, so they're out. UTSA, I don't think was very good.
No.
If I'm being completely honest, I don't know all the teams in the American. Can I look up the teams in the American Athletic Conference? Charlotte has Memphis.
Yep, Memphis.
Yeah, okay.
Good one.
All right.
Last one's the MAC. Of course, the other, like JMU hasn't had a losing season yet because they've only been here for 2 years.
Okay.
Liberty and Boise State.
Liberty, I don't think I would have got. I would have guessed Boise State right off the bat. All right, let's see here. Akron. No, I kid everybody. Kent State. They've had a few good seasons.
Yeah, but they've also had a lot of bad ones.
Okay, great. Ohio Bobcats.
No.
Okay. Toledo?
Yes.
Okay.
Toledo.
That's actually who I was thinking of when I said Kent State. That's embarrassing to all my Ohio people out there. I apologize.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's all them.
Toledo kind of surprised me a little bit, right?
You know, now, not a losing season also could refer back to maybe they just finished like just above 500.
6-6,
or they broke 500 or just above. So it's not like they were going like undefeated all the time. Do you know this is a draft question. Do you know who has the all-time NFL draft picks? FBS.
USC.
No, they're actually number 2.
Notre Dame.
Correct.
I did. Yes, I saw this. Okay.
Let's see. And
whoa! Time out. Did you know that Matt Campbell was at Toledo before he went to Iowa State?
No, that's probably why they were.
So since 2014, 9-4, 10-2. Those were both Matt Campbell's. Then it's been Jason Candle since 2016. 9-4, 11-3, 7-6, 6-6 in 2019, 4-2, 7-6, 9-5, 11-3, 10-4. So they haven't just been good; they've been good.
Yeah. Since you are running the Marshall Thundering Herd in our league, do you care to take a guess at how many Marshall football players have been drafted?
And they just had one drafted this year. So I'm going to guess 2.
No, actually, more than that.
Double digits?
Double digits.
Okay.
Less than 75, more than 25.
43.
Close.
Oh, man. Dude.
I'm very surprised that you got 43.
52.
Nah, too many.
47. Oh, I was going to say 47.
Yeah,
Let's go.
47, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Marshall Thundering Herd. Well, they've had 6 since then in the game. So we are in year 2032, and I've had 6 draft picks, all on the offensive line.
That makes sense.
O-line you, baby. I've had the nation's leading rusher in touchdowns every year since I've been there, and I've had either the leading rusher in yards or the leading rusher in touchdowns and second in yards.
How do you feel about Michigan being number 16?
In what draft picks?
No, the post-spring rankings.
Like way too early, top 25
Yes.
bullshit?
Yes.
I don't hate it. I actually think that that's kind of right where they should be. Did we talk Michigan spring practice last time? I forget.
I think so. Maybe like a little bit, maybe nothing.
Maybe. My takeaway from if we didn't, here's my takeaway from Michigan spring practice. Defense is just going to be phenomenal, especially on the defensive line and the linebacker room. I think is going to be phenomenal. I think Mikey Keene's going to start at quarterback, at least to start the season. And it wouldn't surprise me if he kind of hangs onto the job all the way through the year. And if Bryce Underwood only has packages and he comes in and plays on and off through the game. Wide receiver, I think, will be a little more creative on how we get them open because we're not as skilled outside of Samaj Morgan and Frederick Moore as I think we should be. And not Najee Harris, Naheem Hines. Is that his name? Hines, the running back.
Justice Haynes?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you named two NFL running backs. So I was
Naheem Hines was, I think, in the Alabama backfield at one point in time. Could be wrong there. Justice Haynes, I think, will lead the nation in rushing.
It's possible because I mean, if it's not going to be the Michigan backfield, it's probably going to be Penn State's backfield.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me, actually, if we get towards the end of the year and we look at the stats and it's like Penn State, Michigan, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. No, I don't hate it because they're still very unproven at quarterback, right? If you look at all of the top blue blood programs that will be in the top 10 outside of Penn State. I don't think you'll find a team with a returning quarterback. You might find a team with a veteran quarterback. You're not going to find a team with a returning quarterback. Outside of Drew Aller, Penn State, let's just take them right off the table. They would be my number one. Would they be your number one?
Penn State, yeah.
Okay. They have quarterback returning, 2 running backs. They have a decent chunk of their offensive line, from what I believe, and some of their defense minus Abdul Carter, who can't pick a number in the NFL. Do you see that? He tried Trevor.
Dude, he keeps trying. Listen, first off, this is a problem that I think is bred in college. Because for whatever reason in college, it's like, ooh, a legend. You can use the legend's number as like a rite of passage. Like the number 11 at Penn State. I'm going to be honest with you. Doesn't mean anything. Means nothing. It should be retired. It should be up hanging from the rafters.
Who would you retire it for, though?
LeVar Arrington.
Micah Parsons is pretty good in it, bro.
Well, that's the thing, though, is Micah Parsons shouldn't have ever been in it. He should have had his own number that they could retire himself. You know what I mean? Like,
right, yeah.
Like, that's where I think, and then, you go to the NFL and it's like, let me go ahead and wear Lawrence Taylor's jersey. Like, no,
50, 56, whatever it is, yeah.
And like Lawrence Taylor said, like, no, like, make your own legacy. Like, get your own number retired. Because if he gets 56 and goes and has this outstanding career, now you're going to have 2 56s up there. And it's like,
right.
It doesn't mean anything then. And then he tried to get Phil Simms because he was number 11 in college, which, I mean, it's better than Lawrence Taylor. In that aspect, though, I would say because in the end, because you can have 11 on offense and 11 on defense.
Right. You can have 2 numbers, right?
Right. That's where I would be like, okay, that I would let that slide. Because
is that only college football where you're allowed to have 2, but 2 numbers, but one has to be on offense, one has to be on defense?
I know. I mean, they can't be on the field at the same time, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
But yeah, I think you can have 1 on offense, 1 on defense with the same number.
Okay.
But in that aspect, I'd be like, yeah, you can't have Phil Simms, but you could have the defense number 11. If they allow it that way.
If they allow it that way. I mean, what number, if you do it right, hits harder than 0, right? Like, what number hits harder than that? What number would you choose for him?
Or like, I don't know. There's just something about, because he's going to play outside linebacker, right?
He's going to play edge, yeah.
I mean, I would like it more if he was like a 99 or, just like some high number. Obviously not in the 70s, not the 60s. 50s would work. But I feel like if you're in the 50s, I feel like that's more of a middle linebacker number.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, 90s, there's kind of like your defensive end, your D tackles are like in the 90s. Could do number 1.
Yeah. The single digits hit hard, but only if you're that guy.
It's the right person to have
Right.
one of those.
Right. So anyway, what were we talking about before? We were talking about number 1 teams and who wow, we got really off topic there.
Yeah, because you were talking about that no one in the top 10 has a returning quarterback.
Right.
Except for LSU. Garrett Nussmeier's coming back.
Okay, well, take me through the top 10 currently that they have.
So number 1, they have Ohio State.
Okay, wrong right off the bat.
I understand why they're doing it, defending national champs, whatever.
Sure. But you're replacing literally your entire team outside of Jeremiah Smith.
Number 2, Texas. Understandable.
I don't hate that because it's Arch Manning, but still, Arch Manning started some games, not all. Okay.
Yeah, and they also only have 1 starter returning on the offensive line, which is a pretty big deal.
Oh, great. And Penn State's behind them. Continue.
Yeah, Penn State's 3.
Okay.
Clemson, 4.
All right, so your host was wrong. How dare I?
5, Georgia. Which, Gunner.
What? How many do they have returning on offense? Does it say?
Yeah, Kirby's weren't too much. Is fine with a reworked offensive line and a much more explosive group of receivers transferring into the program. They have Zachariah Branch and Noah Thomas. Running game. The defense will be a top 15 unit. No.
Okay, great. Love that.
Number 6, Oregon.
Doesn't have a returning quarterback.
No, not really, because it's Dante Moore. So, number 7, Notre Dame.
CJ Carr, probably.
Yeah, he looked really good in the spring game.
I didn't watch Notre Dame spring game at all.
I just caught highlights.
Okay.
Number 8, LSU. Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah.
Number 9, Bama. That's Ty Simpson. That's
okay. You're right. Yeah. He'd been in the program. Yep.
Yeah. Number 10, Florida. DJ.
Okay. I would not have put Florida at this point in time with all of their recent success. They got to be a prove it team, right? Like some teams, you can put like a Georgia, right? You can put up there because they have proven no matter who they get in there, they're probably going to win and play well. Florida has not proven that to me. You cannot put them at 10 to start the season.
Right. But they have one thing that most of the other teams don't.
Starting quarterback.
Starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Miami, Carson Beck.
Experienced quarterback, but new to the system, and it's a very different system.
For whatever reason, they believe this is the outlier of the Big Ten that can make some issues. Number 12, Illinois.
Returning quarterback. Yeah.
13, Kansas State.
Returning quarterback.
Yeah. 14, BYU. Retzlaff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Returning quarterback. Yeah.
15, TCU.
Probably returning quarterback. I don't know who they had playing quarterback last year.
Josh Hoover, I think it's the coach. Maybe I don't know. 16, Michigan.
It would be Josh Hoover because Sonny's there.
Yeah, Sonny's in. 16 was Michigan.
Okay.
17, Arizona State. Sam Leavitt.
Yep. You're right.
18, Oklahoma.
They have John Mateer, experienced quarterback, Washington State, very productive, but not starting. Yeah.
19, Iowa State.
I don't think they have someone returning.
I don't
quarterback
Rocco Beck.
Oh, Rocco Beck is coming back. Okay, yeah. He's going to break all of Brock Purdy's records there.
Number 20, Tennessee.
Well, it used to be Nico, not anymore.
Not anymore. 21, Texas Tech.
They have a returning quarterback, I'm pretty sure.
It doesn't say his name. 22, South Carolina. That could be one.
Dark horse there.
Mm-hmm. 23, Louisville.
No, new quarterback. It was Tyler Shuck last year.
24, SMU.
No, returning quarterback.
Yeah, not a good one though.
Well, he got the job done.
Kinda.
I mean, he made the playoff.
Yeah, in the SEC, ACC.
There you go. Still made it.
25 Auburn. I cannot imagine that. I mean, it's Jackson Arnold, but I can't imagine Auburn in the top 25.
So I actually like the rankings from 11 to 20 better than I do 1 to 10.
Well, I think they make more sense 11 to 20.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like 1 through 10 is teams that made the playoffs minus LSU and Florida and Bama.
Like if this was 2014, 16, before 2020, right? Even 2021, how they're doing this top 25, and again, I get it, it's a way too early top 25. I shouldn't read into this. That would be how you do it because you know your depth chart behind that. With this day and age with transfer portals, like you can't just assume that Ohio State's just everything's going to click again for Ohio State.
Right.
Brand new team. Everything's going to click together for Georgia. You can know that the coaching staff is good, but in this day and age, you also don't know what kind of character of the kid you're going to get, right? Because you get a kid in there that has to sit for 2 or 3 years. You can kind of build his character, and you're going to know you're going to get a Michigan man. You're going to get a Georgia Bulldog. You're going to get an Alabama Crimson Tide, right? You're going to get a Clemson Tiger in that family environment. It's all about family, and he's here for the team, and we're playing for the team. Now, the environment in college is very different. Every man for themselves. So, like that, I feel like this top 25, albeit way too early, is rewarding what they did last year and not actually looking at what's going on this year.
Right.
That's all that and as you said, that's where I think they did a much better job 11 through 20 than they have.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
Texas Tech, though, they spent a whole bunch of money in the transfer portal. Whole bunch of money, and it was a 10-month run-up, so their team might be pretty good.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is what Signetti saying that teams are spending like $40 million.
Yeah.
And he named like Texas, Ohio State, and a couple others.
I was listening to College Game Day podcast. Pete Thamel says, does he believe that teams are spending right now $40 million? No. What he thinks that $40 million number is coming from is we're allowed for high school recruits to get their commitment. So they're going to juniors and seniors in high school and being like, hey, here's $150,000, arbitrary number I made up in my head. Here's $150,000. Will you commit to Michigan? Will you commit to Ohio State, Texas, wherever? Yeah. Yes, and that's counted in. But in terms of money being spent on the roster, he's guessing it's right around that $20 million mark sort of deal. Which, again, I don't like the number. And if the true number was $40 million, Rob, are we surprised?
Well, if teams are going to start not being bowl eligible because they can't pass their classes, then a little bit. But no, not really.
But you're surprised in that aspect, but you're not surprised because of how unorganized everything is.
It would surprise me if it would come out and it was that Tulane is spending $40 million.
Tulane spent a good chunk of change, but not $40 million.
But like, you know, if it's like Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon, stuff like that, spending $40 million. Yeah, 100% believable. Big time programs obviously are going to try and do whatever they can to win. But if it's teams that aren't in the Power Four that are like spending $40 million, and it's like, hold the phone, guys. Like, first off, where are y'all getting $40 million from? 2, whose jobs are you eliminating to save that $40 million? And 3, which booster are you talking to right now?
Right. It does not say how much. ChatGPT does not know how much Tulane spent in NIL. And you know what? I think that's where we'll leave it today. I hope everyone had a good time listening to us rant and rave and have a conversation. At points, I didn't even realize I was recording this. So everyone, go check out, like and subscribe. Instagram 4th and 1 Podcast, TikTok 4th and 1 Pod. Wash your hands, you filthy animals.